Good morning. I'm really sorry about the last video. It was insensitive, so I'm going to try to put it right as long as I don't make it worse. What happened when Adam and Eve rebelled against God was a disaster of the worst kind. It spawned every other disaster that happened on this planet. We were given free will and we used it. Instead of using it for kindness and helping others, we used it to foment wars, wickedness, which led to illness and death. It was an awful situation, and even worse, note what happened to God. In Genesis 6, verse 5 and 6, from the Jerusalem Bible, Yahweh saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that the thoughts in his heart fashioned nothing but wickedness all day long. Yahweh regretted having made man on the earth, and his heart grieved. That's awful. That God had given us this beautiful, beautiful planet, and we didn't appreciate it, and turned it into a war zone. So what I want to do is explain to you what happened to me, not from the point of view of you feeling sorry for me, but from the point of view of how did I survive and what came out of it. So the worst started in the 90s, and it was so bad, I'm not going to tell you about it. Other people were involved as well. But I ended up in hospital with my life on the line. I was under the hospital for several years. I developed post-traumatic stress disorder and fibromyalgia. My husband didn't cope with it, wanted a divorce, so that happened. I lost my home. I ended up living in a shed for 6 years. That actually wasn't too bad. You can live without electricity. The biggest problem was the lack of water. You can't live without a supply of water. So I built a little place. During that time, Watchtower started the false accusations, but you sort of know that story. And the stress was unbearable. If I had known then what I know now, I could have stopped it straight away by going to my solicitor and explaining what they were doing wrong and asking for a legal case to stop them in their tracks. But I didn't know. So the stress got so bad, I ended up in hospital again, this time with serious heart complications. I was under the hospital for a year until I found ways to deal with it. I lost my home twice. I lost my possessions twice. But you learn that material things don't matter that much. It's hard to go through it. Your health, your loss of health is worse. I took Watchtower to court because I didn't want them doing to other people what they did to me. But I didn't know enough. But looking back, I can see what God was doing. He was leading me to find out what Watchtower was doing. Unfortunately, it wasn't soon enough to deal with the court case. But eventually, they let slip some things, and I got hold of some other activists who very kindly helped me out and gave me stuff that I needed to know. God was with me in that, for which I am most grateful. I lost too much weight, and I'm now on a very strict diet for kidneys and health. I don't know if I'm going to survive too long, but we'll see what the Lord comes up with. Now, how do we view this? Well, I'm going to quote from Matthew 5, Barclay's translation. And verse 11 onwards, he says, "Yours is this bliss," the happiness is, "when men shall heap their insults on you and persecute you and tell every wicked kind of lie about you for my sake. When that happens, rejoice and exult in it, for you will receive a rich reward in heaven. For it was thus that they persecuted the prophets who lived before you." When you come out of these things, not unscathed, but you come out of them, there's a certain satisfaction in having been treated the same way as the prophets, although obviously I'm not in the same caliber as the prophets. But Paul in Romans went on with this theme. He said, we take pride in our troubles. Sorry, this is Romans 5 verse 3. We take pride in our troubles, for we know that trouble produces fortitude. Fortitude produces a character which has stood the test, and character produces hope. And this hope never lets us down, for God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. That when I look back, I can see how God was guiding matters so that I was able to speak out against Watchtower's wrongdoing. They have to be warned, and I was grateful to be used to warn Watchtower, although they've taken no notice as yet. But what came out of it for me was that my faith increased, my love for God increased, and I realized just how much God loved me. And I know he will do the same for you. As George put it very nicely in one of his comments, that God didn't give up on us, and we're so grateful that he didn't, that we're here, yes, in trouble, but it's all going to end. And when that better world comes, we will forget those troubles. We will be cured of them. 20 years of troubles I went through, and yet it's gone. And I can cope with it now. But when I get my health back, when the kingdom comes, then, God will be my friend and life will be wonderful. And all being well, I'll be there to help you out. But thank you for watching.